Okay, so now let's go ahead and open up the player base. And inside of here, let's go down to the event we made, the shoot weapon. And to start off with that, let's create the server one. So right click and do custom event. And let's create the server shoot weapon. And inside of here, we're going to create a timer. So first put it on replicates on server and reliable. So for shooting, we are going to create a timer, just like the other timer we created here for the footsteps, where we created the set timer by event. It is the same method we are going to use for shooting. So if we go down here and we drag from here and say timer by event, and go ahead and select it. And then from here, we can drag and make a new custom event, and we can call it shoot weapon loop. Okay, and the shoot weapon logic will be down here. Remember to set this timer to be looping, and then we have to set a time. Now, the time you set here depends on how fast your weapon is shooting. So for AK-47, for example, let's say it is zero point 0.1, and for a pistol, it's going to shoot maybe for pistols, if you don't want to make them shoot automatically, we don't really need this timer. But for automatic weapons, so AK-47 and the M4, they need to be shooting through a timer because it's going to loop the code at this speed. So since this one is the speed of the weapon, remember in the structure, if I go back and open up the structure, we have added this shooting speed variable. So we can actually use that to plug into here. So depending on how fast your weapon is shooting, this timer will change the time depending on that. So we need a reference to the weapon. So let's do that. Let's click here and make a new variable and choose weapon base here from the variable types. Go ahead and select that. And let's call this one weapon. So we have to call this one up here. Call it server shoot weapon. I can spell that like this, server shoot weapon. And now we have to define the weapon. Now, if you compile, you can see you'll get an error and it says new parameter, even though it says weapon up here. Sometimes this happens and you just have to delete it and make it again, or you can click on file and refresh all nodes, and that will actually fix that as well. Okay, so we need a definition to the weapon. And right now we don't have a variable for the weapon because the only thing we have is we have the equip weapon, but we also delete that later on. We have unequip weapon and we have loot weapon as well up here. We have the looted weapon. However, we are also deleting this looted weapon variable over here. So we really don't have any variable for the weapon that stays consistent. So let us actually just create one. Let's go to the equip weapon here. So when we equip this weapon, I'm going to just right click the same variable and promote this to a variable. And let's call this one equipped weapon. So this one is equipped weapon. We are equipping the weapon. And this one is the equipped weapon. And we can use this variable so we don't delete this. This will change every time this is being set. And remember to click on this variable and set it to replicated. We don't really need to rep notify or anything. Replicated just means that we're just sending this information to the client. So the client also knows what this variable is. So I'm going to just select all of it here and move it away and moving this variable into here. So now we have that variable we can work from. Okay, so we can go down here now and we can take this equipped weapon and plug it into here. So now we have that and let's compile. And now from this one, we can drag and say get name. So we can get the name variable and then we can get weapon info, get it here. And then let's move this away and break. And now we can use the shooting speed from here and plug it into here. Okay, so click on it and hide all unconnected pins. Okay, so whenever we press our mouse one button, it's going to shoot and shoot this timer. Now, we also have to stop this timer as well at some point. So let's right click this handle, promote it to a variables and call it a shoot weapon handle. And we can use this handle to stop the timer. So we have to know when are we shooting and when are we not shooting. So when we let go of the mouse one button, then this complete trigger will be played and we are not shooting the weapon anymore. So let's actually add a boolean here. Let's add one and let us call it shoot weapon. And I'm just going to add a B in front of it to stay consistent since it's a Boolean, and change it into a Boolean like this. Okay, and now you can drag from here and say branch and connect it. So if it is true, if shoot weapon is true, we want to go ahead and shoot the weapon. However, if we don't want to shoot the weapon anymore, let's take this handle and say is valid. So if this handle is valid, just making sure we're not getting any bugs. So I'm making sure it's valid. And let's make another branch. So if it is valid, go ahead and take this timer and say clear and invalidate timer by handle. So we are going to stop this timer. And so up here in this code, we can now copy paste this and for the complete. So when we let go of the mouse one button, it's going to set shoot weapon to false. And when we shoot the weapon, it needs to be true. So when it is false, when we stop shooting, it's going to ask, is this timer valid? If it is, go ahead and stop the timer. So I'm just going to reorganize things a little bit here. So right now we have this done. So let's go ahead and test it out and see if everything is working. And let's go ahead and click on play. Here for the client, for example, I'm going to select terrorist. And let's go ahead and pick something up. Let's go pick up the M4. So right now, let's try to shoot. Right now I'm trying to shoot with my mouse one, and nothing is happening. Nothing is printing to the screen up here. So let me just cancel it. And here we get an error. And this error is saying access none. Access none just means that it's trying to read something from this weapon variable. So this weapon variable here. However, access none means that this variable is empty. It doesn't have anything to read from. And this is actually true because we have only set the equipped weapon inside of the equip weapon event. And this one is only set whenever we switch weapons. So if I go to terrorist and I pick something up, I have to switch to another weapon and then switch back before this variable is set right now. So let me just shoot now and see what happens. And nothing is happening. And this is actually because we're running this multiple times. So if I disconnect this false, you can see here, if I don't stop the timer, you can see it more clearly. So if I just pick up something else again, and now if I shoot the weapon, I'm shooting right now. And if I let go of my mouse one, you can see whenever I let go of my mouse one, it's actually printing. And this is not what we want. We want to make it print whenever we press the mouse one, not when we let it go. And this is because the timer here is running very quickly in the code whenever I'm holding my mouse one button, and it never gets the chance to actually play this code. So this part here, we actually need to do just one time. So let me just reconnect this. And here from the true, I'm going to do a do once node. So whenever I hold down my mouse one button, it's going to do this code once, and then we can reset this code whenever we want. So I'm just going to move all of this away, and for this one, I'm going to make a new custom event, and let's call this one can shoot again. And when can we shoot again? We can shoot again whenever we stop shooting. So up here, I'm going to call this can shoot again, and just like that. So that is the only thing we had to do. So now let's give it a try again. Let's compile and let's test it out. Let me select terrorist and let me just pick up the weapons. Now we are going to fix this issue. This is again a problem with the looted weapons up here. So I'm actually going to do a hard fix in a bit. I just want to see if this down here works and we can go ahead and fix this. So if I pick up the weapon and if I hold down the mouse one button, you can now see it prints to the screen correctly. And if I let go of the mouse one, it stops printing. And let's actually do that as well with the rifle. So if I just select terrorist, pick up the rifle, pick up the pistol, and if I switch back and forth to get the variable to set right now, I can hold the mouse one button and it's shooting. And if I let go, it is not shooting anymore. Okay, so this code down here is actually working fully now. So we're finished with this one. And I'm also going to delete this print string. And let's go up here and fix this before we finish. So let me just remove it from here. And we're just going to do a very nice fix for this one so it never bugs again. So let's So down here in the overlapped weapons, this is what you're trying to get. So let's just take this one and say, is this equal to the looted weapon variable? So we're trying to check if the looted one, the one we're currently looting, is set to the same variable as the one we set earlier. If it is true, so if it's true, we want to delete the old variable. So let me just move this over here. We want to delete the old looted variable. And then after that, we want to run the new variable with this plugged in. So we're basically just checking if the thing we're looting right now is the same as what we set it earlier. If it is, we're going to delete this variable before we set the new one. This makes sure that we don't set the same one twice. And if it is not the same thing, so if it is not the same item we're looting, just go ahead and run the code without deleting this. Okay, so I'm going to organize this later on, but let's see if it works. And before I try it out, let's connect this again. So here we are removing the item from the inventory. So I'm just going to click and drag it back to here and go ahead and compile. And now let's try to click on play and select terrorist and see if it works. So if I walk into here, you can see it actually works. Okay, so this is how I think that's actually a better method to do it as. You see it's not bugging out anymore. And the next thing is I'm actually noticing the icons are wrong. So let's just debug this. Let's go back to main widget. Let's open it up and let's go to the graph. I'm just seeing what's up here, why it's doing this. So for the rifle, we have the image rifle, that is correct. And here for the equipped weapon, for the pistol, we're showing the pistol and hiding the rifle. And for the rifle, we're showing the rifle and we're hiding the pistol, so the opacity. And this seems correct. So there is something wrong with setting the equipped weapon type. So let's go back to the player. So there must be something that goes wrong with the equipped weapon. So for the equipped weapon, we are, let's see here, this is the update inventory UI. We're setting the weapon type to the weapon type to equip. So the weapon type to equip, we defined it here when we press on the button. So when we press on primary, we're setting to rifle, which is correct. That is our rifle. For the secondary, we're setting it to pistol, and that is also correct. So nothing is actually wrong here. Then something must be wrong when we loot the weapon. So when we loot the weapon over here, looting weapon, we're setting this as well. We're setting the weapon type as well to the one we just looted, which is also correct. So there's actually not a mistake anywhere here. And I suspect maybe there is a mistake in the data table. So if you open up the data table and let's take a look, the data table type here. So we have to look for the type of weapons if we have written something wrong. So rifle, rifle, and pistol. So they're actually all correct. They're set to the correct one. Okay, so nothing is actually wrong. I can't see any mistake. Maybe right now the issue is that we are setting the equipped weapon type correctly. However, we're also running this code, and this part of the code, it doesn't realize yet that it has been set to this value. So if we just make a delay and we give it a chance to set this just to take a look and see if this works, because I don't really like to have a delay here, but let's just take a look and see if that actually fixes the problem. So if I loot the weapons, I click on one, now it works. If I click on two, now that works as well. So you can see it actually works now. If I click on one and two, now the icons are working. So the problem here we have is that this is being set correctly, the equipped weapon type. However, you're also running this code really quickly. So you're running this code before this has had a chance to actually change. Okay, so to fix this problem, so we can try to add a delay, however, not in this code. Let's actually do that inside of our WB main, inside of the function here that we created earlier. And here is when we set the opacity for the rifle. So before we set the opacity, you can try to add a delay. And the delay, please try start by making it very, very small. So 0.01 and compile. And let's click on play. And if that works, then it's actually really good. So Now I can pick everything up. You can see the pistol is now picked up, and I'm just going to maximize my viewport. So the pistol is now picked up. I can click on 1, then 4, click on 2 for the pistol. And you see sometimes we get a bug. So I switch to my rifle. And let's set it to 0.03 instead. Compile, click on play. And let's try again. So let's pick up everything. Click on rifle, pistol, rifle, pistol. Now everything seems to be working as well. Okay, so that works. So 0.03 fixes the problem as usual. And that would be a really, really nice, easy fix. Okay, so I know it has been really confusing here, but we really had to do this because this was bugging out all the time. So if the equip weapon ever bugs out down here, it's not really bugging out right now, so I'm just going to let it be. However, if it ever bugs out like up here, you can do the same method by checking if the equipped weapon here, can always check if it is the same as the previous one that we have set. Then you can remove the variable and then you can set the new one. So instead of doing it in the old method. However, I don't think this will bug out because up here we're checking if we already are wearing a rifle. But in the future, we might get a bug. I have no idea right now. We have to develop and see. But that's how it is in game development. You get bugs during the programming, and you have to fix those. So the good thing for a programmer is just to know how to fix those problems. And here you see we just added a boolean, just checking if this was the same or not, and we fixed that problem this way. So you always will see bugs when you develop games, even in large studios. But you just have to know how to fix them and how to overcome the problem. So let's now try it out. Let's click on play just before we end this to see if everything is working. And if I select the terrorist, I pick up everything here and I can switch between them. If I drop the M4, I'm just trying the dropping right now. So the dropping, you can see it is bugging out as well. So we have to add a small delay here because it is not realizing that we have deleted this. If I set the delay to 0.05 and I click on play here, and let's pick up a weapon, let's drop it, let's pick it up, drop it, pick it up, drop it, pick it up, drop it. You can see now it is working perfectly, and I can switch between those. And I'm just trying to test out the game to see if it bugs out. And now it seems to work fine. So we had to have this small unnoticeable delay because else the program didn't know what we were doing here. So that's nice to know. So having that here as well. And that fixes all of the issues we had with this variable being deleted without us wanting it to delete it before it ran the code. So everything is working now. I'm going to reorganize this. I'm going to put it inside of here and let us move on to the next one.